It wasn't just a show. It was an obsession. For over a decade, American Pickers had fans glued to their screens, not just for the rusty relics, but for the dynamic duo at its heart. Wolfe and Frank Fritz made the thrill of the hunt irresistible, their banter and brotherhood turning forgotten junk into priceless TV moments. But behind the scenes, tensions brewed, leading to a shocking fallout that left fans reeling. But now, at 60, Wolfe is finally breaking his silence, revealing the painful truth about their falling out, the struggles behind the scenes, and the untold story of their final years together. With Fritz's recent passing, shocking details have surfaced, secrets about their estrangement, the unexpected turns their relationship took, and the bittersweet way they reconnected when it mattered most. Fame may have pulled them apart, but in the end, something far deeper brought them back together. Long before American Pickers became a cultural phenomenon, two small-town boys from LeClaire, Iowa, were unknowingly shaping the future of reality television. Interviews with childhood friends and family members paint a vivid picture of Wolfe's early fascination with forgotten relics. At just 4 years old, he was already scouring neighborhood streets for discarded bicycles, restoring them with a keen eye that belied his age. He wasn't just collecting junk, he was seeing what others missed, recalls Sarah Henderson, a former neighbor who watched his passion take root. This wasn't just a childhood hobby, it was the foundation of a lifelong obsession. By his teenage years, Wolfe had turned that obsession into profit. Court records reveal that he was running Mike's Bikes, a small repair shop out of his parents' garage. Newspaper clippings from the early 80s describe him as an old soul with an entrepreneurial spirit, already mastering the art of negotiation and uncovering hidden value in forgotten corners of America. Meanwhile, in a parallel journey, Frank Fritz was honing his own unique expertise. Working at Coast to Coast Hardware, he developed an encyclopedic knowledge of vintage tools and firefighting memorabilia. Frank could look at a fire extinguisher and tell you its exact manufacturing date just by the valve design, says former coworker Tom Matthews. But it wasn't just his knowledge that set him apart. It was his ability to connect with people through the objects they cherished. Handwritten inventory notes from his time at Coast to Coast reveal meticulous attention to detail, foreshadowing the skills that would make him indispensable on the road. He wasn't just selling tools, he was preserving history, one piece at a time. The meteoric rise of American Pickers might seem like an overnight success, but the truth is far more grueling. For over 5 years, Wolfe documented their picking adventures on a handheld camera, capturing over 300 hours of raw footage, often in conditions that would make professional cameramen quit. Mike would crawl through collapsing barns, balance on rickety ladders, and still keep the camera steady, recalls David Martinez, an early videographer who helped piece together the first episodes. The authenticity was undeniable, but network executives failed to see the potential. Internal production logs reveal that major networks rejected the concept 27 times. Some dismissed it as too niche, while others insisted on adding artificial drama, something both Wolfe and Fritz refused to compromise on. But rejection only fueled Wolfe's determination. Private notes from 2009 show his relentless pursuit of a deal, fine-tuning every pitch, perfecting every detail, until American Pickers finally found its home on the History Channel. What happened next is television history. Millions tuned in, captivated by two men who weren't just picking antiques, they were uncovering forgotten stories, breathing life into the past, and for a time, living out a dream together. When the History Channel took a gamble on American Pickers in January 2010, they had no idea what was about to unfold. The premiere shattered expectations, drawing over 3.1 million viewers and setting a new benchmark for reality television. The secret? Authenticity. From the very first season, viewers were hooked. Not just on the rusty treasures Wolfe and Frank Fritz uncovered, but on their undeniable chemistry, the camaraderie of two lifelong pickers who shared a passion for America's forgotten relics. Ratings soared, and with each passing episode, American Pickers cemented itself as a cultural touchstone. The hidden cost of success, but behind the scenes, the price of fame was steep. As the show evolved from a grassroots passion project into a high-budget production, the demands on Mike and Frank skyrocketed. Production schedules obtained through this investigation reveal an exhausting 250-plus filming days per year, with grueling 12 to 14-hour days. What was once a spontaneous treasure hunt became a carefully choreographed operation. Advanced scouting, multiple camera crews, and tight production schedules turned the organic excitement of picking into a logistical nightmare. Former field producer Georgia Stiller explains, "We didn't kill the spontaneity completely, but we had to structure it for TV." When passion becomes profit. In the beginning, it wasn't about money. Sarah Thompson, an early associate, recalls Mike and Frank's genuine love for the hunt, flipping through faded photographs of their earliest pics. "They were just two guys chasing stories," she says, "but money changes everything." By 2015, American Pickers had become an empire. Mike's antique archaeology store in Nashville became a tourist hotspot, while Frank maintained his small shop in Savannah, Illinois. The contrast was glaring, one partner basking in fame and fortune, the other clinging to the dream they started with. "The Nashville expansion changed everything," says Robert Chen, a former production assistant. "Suddenly, there were book deals, speaking engagements, merchandise contracts. Frank wasn't interested in any of it. As the show's budget ballooned from $45,000 to $250,000 per episode, the friendship that once defined American Pickers began to erode. For years, fans believed Mike and Frank operated in perfect harmony. In reality, their differences ran deeper than their picking styles. Mike was the dreamer. He didn't just see rusty signs, he saw pieces of America's past waiting to be saved. Mike could walk into an abandoned barn and see history coming to life, says Sarah Thompson. For him, it was never just about the objects, it was about preserving stories. Frank, on the other hand, was a technician. His joy came from the details, feeling the curves of a vintage motorcycle, understanding the mechanics of an antique toy. Frank needed to know how things worked, recalls James Wilson, a former crew member. He found comfort in the small details. That was his world. These differences made them a perfect team in the beginning. But over time, as the show's demands grew and Frank's health deteriorated, those same differences pulled them apart. The unraveling, when reality TV becomes too real. By 2019, the strain was undeniable. Production records reveal a shift. Mike and Frank were filming separately more often. It became harder to capture their chemistry, a former producer admits. We had to schedule their interactions weeks in advance. Financial reports show that while Mike's Nashville operation thrived, Frank's business remained modest. The writing was on the wall. American Pickers was evolving, but not in a direction both men agreed on. Speculation ran wild. Was it jealousy? Money? A personal rift? The truth was more complicated, and it would only come to light after Frank's untimely departure from the show. The stories you never saw, not every moment made it to air. In an untelevised conversation, captured off camera, Mike and Frank sat in their iconic white van, discussing the toll the show had taken on their lives. Frank admitted that the constant travel was destroying his body. "Every bump in the road feels like torture," he told Mike. "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Other behind-the-scenes moments showed glimpses of their true bond. In Tennessee, they found an old carnival sign. Mike's eyes lit up, and without hesitation, Frank negotiated a lower price. Not for himself, but because he knew Mike wanted it for Nashville. Even as their partnership strained, their friendship remained at its core. But tensions boiled over in 2017. When Mike excitedly discussed expanding their brand, Frank exploded. "This isn't what we started this for," he shouted. "We were supposed to be picking together, not building empires." While fans speculated about personal drama, few knew about Frank's silent battle. His Crohn's disease, rarely discussed on air, was worsening. Medical records reveal that between 2018 and 2020, he required 17 emergency medical interventions, forcing last-minute production changes. Insurance costs skyrocketed, and behind the scenes, producers scrambled to accommodate his deteriorating health. Crew members recall seeing Frank wince in pain between takes. "He never wanted to show weakness," remembers Jim Sullivan, a camera operator. "But some days, you could see how much he was hurting." Frank's final appearance in March 2020 coincided with two major life events, the COVID-19 pandemic and his decision to enter rehab for alcohol dependency. His struggles had been building for years, exacerbated by chronic pain and the unrelenting demands of the show. Though the public fallout played out in tabloids, internal communications tell a different story. Texts between Mike and Frank, reviewed as part of this investigation, show attempts at reconciliation, complicated by contracts and network obligations. People think there was bad blood, says entertainment lawyer Betty Goldstein. But both men were trapped by NDAs that prevented them from telling the full story. Mike, for his part, remained quiet, focused instead on supporting Frank in ways the public never saw. The turning point came in 2022, when Frank suffered a devastating stroke. Suddenly, the years of tension, the business disputes, and the long filming schedules meant nothing. Mike was one of the first to reach out, proving that, despite everything, their friendship was real. People wanted drama, says former producer Jennifer Thompson. But what they got was something much more powerful. Two friends who lost their way and found their way back when it mattered most. American Pickers wasn't just a show about antiques. It was a story about two men, two dreams, and the price of success. And in the end, it wasn't about the money, the fame, or the contracts. It was about a friendship that outlasted it all. Hospital records from the University of Iowa paint a stark picture of Frank Fritz's condition. But what they don't capture is the quiet, unwavering presence of Mike Wolfe. Despite their public estrangement, visitor logs reveal that Mike was there within hours of Frank's admission. Whatever had happened between them, it clearly didn't matter at that moment, recalls Patricia Martinez, the charge nurse on duty. Through interviews with hospital staff and family members, a hidden chapter of their story emerges, a quiet, deeply personal reconciliation unfolding behind closed doors. Mike would sit by Frank's bedside for hours, reminiscing about their adventures on the road. Even when Frank couldn't respond, there was no mistaking the flicker of recognition in his eyes. Official documents reveal just how far Mike went to ensure Frank received the best possible care. Insurance records show him personally intervening to secure extended rehabilitation coverage, while financial statements detail his generous contributions to Frank's medical fund. But the real breakthrough came on Memorial Day 2023. Months of slow progress had led to a defining moment. Physical therapy reports showed steady improvement, while psychiatric evaluations noted the profound impact of reconnecting with Mike. That day, in a small hospital room filled with years of unspoken words, the walls finally came down. They were both in tears, recalls Dr. James Wilson, Frank's primary physician. It was one of those moments that reminded you, fame, television, none of it matters. Human connection does. Speech therapy transcripts from that period capture the emotional depth of their reunion. "Nobody can replace you," Frank told Mike. "We built something special, and I never should have let anything come between us." But fate had other plans. In October 2024, Frank Fritz's journey came to an end. Medical records from Unity Point Health Trinity Hospital confirm what those closest to him already knew. Mike Wolfe never left his side. Head nurse Margaret Carter's daily logs track his presence, often arriving before sunrise. He'd bring pieces of their shared past, she recalls. Old photos, picking magazines, even small antiques, anything to keep Frank connected to the world he loved. Frank's vital signs improved during Mike's visits. The engagement with familiar objects and memories seemed to provide him comfort, Dr. Wilson noted in his final reports. Behind the scenes, Mike fought relentlessly to ensure Frank received the best care possible. Insurance records show repeated appeals for extended coverage, with Mike personally guaranteeing payments when limits were reached. His financial support wasn't about obligation, it was about loyalty. "We've been on countless trips and shared so many miles," Mike later wrote in his personal journal, shared by his family. "Every piece we found told a story, but our own story, that's the one that matters most now." To the public, their friendship had been reduced to headlines: jealousy, money, betrayal. But in those final days, the truth became clear. The only thing that could ever separate them was death itself. And when that moment came, Mike was right there, holding on until the very end. Only after Frank's passing did Mike confirm the truth about his declining health and struggles behind the scenes. But he didn't do it for clicks, likes, or to justify changes on American Pickers. He did it to protect Frank's memory. Frank Fritz wasn't just a picker. He was the American picker. a man who lived and breathed the spirit of discovery, adventure, and relentless pursuit of forgotten treasures. His legacy wasn't just about antiques, it was about the stories they carried and the connections they forged. Now, that legacy lives on through the Frank Fritz Memorial Fund. But this isn't just another charity. Internal records reveal a meticulously designed initiative, not only honoring Frank's impact, but also reflecting the deep, complicated bond he shared with Mike Wolfe. Margaret Reynolds, the fund's executive director, puts it plainly. This isn't about collecting. It's about keeping America's stories alive. Picking has always been more than just finding antiques. It's about unearthing the past and giving it a future. The fund's mission is clear, to ensure that history doesn't just sit in dusty barns, but continues to inspire new generations. With Mike Wolfe's revelations shaking the American Pickers universe, the show now faces an uncertain future. Will audiences embrace the raw truth behind the polished TV version? Or has the real story rewritten the way fans will remember this legendary duo? One thing is certain, the legacy of American Pickers will never be the same. What do you think? Has the truth changed your view of the show forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.